Okay, so the magic machine tells me that I'm live, so I take it on faith that I'm live. Oh, listen, folks, if you are new to my channel, let me let you if you were hoping for a quick, concise introduction, and let's get to it, and a little bit of banter, and then we are going to get into the nuts and bolts of the early uh, tactical macho man on man fighting game Melee by Steve Jackson. Mr. Jackson, if you're nasty. I'm gonna disappoint you. I'm really not organized. I'm really not that good, and I am learning by doing. Also, this is kind of like a halvesies episode, like a 50-50 episode. This is also, kind of like we're doing this as we're also talking. And the topic, the extra topic, or like the additional topic is a little bit of a kvetch over me just dealing with life. It's not especially a hardship. It's especially some of the hardships that other people have to face. Um, you know, I battled, getting the, I only really, engaged in my dealing with my mental health issues much late in life, and so I'm only dealing with, like, ADD and a lot of my issues, very late, and it's difficult. And with the ADD and the organizational skills and things, and things tools I don't have in my toolbox necessarily, and battling things like addiction and alcoholism as well, with the self medication and whatever. So you clean up your life, and for a while, people tell you, look, you got to deal with, this is a big issue, getting sober, getting clean, that's a struggle enough. You can't leave the other things behind, but you're dealing. You got to give yourself patience, be patient with yourself, and give yourself time. But you got other things you got to work with, and so you get the diagnosis, you get the ADD medication, you start trying to be proactive about being more organized, and dealing with things, and addressing you know um, you know issues and stuff, and then you have to start tackling these other problems. So what I'm dealing with now is there's a thing called productive procrastination. So like I got clean, and then now we're just dealing with getting clean, and then it's like, okay, you're clean, but now there's other things. Okay, you're clean, but then you don't want to spend. We got to think about all the amount of time we're spending, just watching YouTube, or just staring off into space, or doing all these other things, and realizing there's other things that real life issues you need energy and attention to. And then you realize, okay, so you it's easy to see when you're wasting time, watching YouTube videos, but then it turns out you can waste your time, like, so there'll be a task that you need to do, and because you're freaked out about it or whatever, you don't want to. There's some reason, there's some block between you and this task you got to do. You end up doing all these other things that are on your to-do list. These are other things that you got to do, but they're not your main task, and this is what's known as productive procrastination. And so the notion that you can find that even on this goal to the El Dorado of being a productive human being, that that I have to find this way to battle bad productivity. It can feel insurmountable. So there was one of these days where I found myself at 5:30, and having to honestly, self-assess and say, kind of due to this kind of, issue that I'm developing of productive procrastination, I had X amount of things to do on my quote unquote proper to-do list. But I just had to assess that X amount of things had gotten taken care of and off of them. But because of the fact that along the way I had gotten distracted and had done things and spent energy on these other tasks that weren't just playing a video game, weren't just sitting there watching YouTube, weren't just, jacking off in a corner or whatever, weren't things that you could say were wastes of time, but were not necessarily the things that I'd written on my to-do list. I had to assess at 5:30 and say, look, it's 5:30, and with the amount of stuff that I've already done, it's not going to happen. You know what I mean? I'm not writing this portion of the memo. I'm not doing, this thing or that thing. It's just those things that were avoided for whatever reason they're avoided, and we'll have to deal with why we avoided them and what have you tomorrow. And the journey continues, and the journey continues of how to be the most productive person on planet Earth, and knowing we'll never really, kind of get there. It's not your lot in life to be the most productive person in the world, but you didn't get high, you didn't get drunk, you didn't, waste your time, you didn't spend, 12 hours watching YouTube. That's good. You didn't, blow, $150 on, Amazon or whatever. In the meantime, that's good. So those are good things. You didn't go get these things on the to-do list. You don't have to, we're not going to kill ourselves over it. We're just going to accept it, and we're just going to do what we got to do. And I said, so here's what we're going to do. It was on this part of on my to-do list to say I wanted to do more functional content on the RPG channel, more RPG actual game stuff. So I said, well, okay, man, I've done these things, but I'm gonna try and move energy towards this, doing something with this. I had known about this, and it's funny because Tolkien study. I'm gonna touch on the live chat so we get to the live chat too. I wanted to get, so we got 8.5 minutes, as we call that the monologue portion of the show. Tolkien study, we say, gets the gold medal. True. Self-identifying and knowing the fact that they are first in the live chat. Gold medal onto thee, silver medal onto Mario Heat. Is that an alien spaceship? It could be. It could be anything you want it to be. We have Mario Heat joining us twofold. Hey, I am digging that avatar. Could have picked a more flattering pose, but it would not have made the point. I don't think. No Country for Gold Men of Illuminati fame. Yes. Hey, look, Steve Jackson Games, the company, Steve Jackson Games, I think one of the sub companies is called Warehouse 23. Steve Jackson is deep in the lore of Bob Dobbs, the subgenius. He's way into the Church of the Subgenius. He most certainly is into the 23 Enigma. And don't forget that Alex Jones and early cohorts of Alex Jones were obsessed. Remember, obsessed with the Illuminati card game that was there was a Church of the Subgenius subset of the Illuminati card game. But the original Illuminati card game had a card in it that which was all about, it was the Illuminati card game was a card game that was based on, and this gets nuts because Robert Anton Wilson was prior to, like, all the time prior to his death, I think, hated Steve Jackson, because my understanding was that the other guy from the Robert Shea or whatever was the guy who sold the rights to the name of the Illuminati to Steve Jackson Games, and I think it may have cut Robert Anton Wilson out of some of the money. We can also get into that because it's interesting. It didn't turn much into much of a thing, and I kind of lost the opportunity to talk about it when it was topical. But RPG Pundit and some other conservo idiots kind of tried to make hay over the fact that during a Gen Con, the symbol for Steve Jackson Games is the Illuminati pyramid. And so they had issued pins, t-shirts, and a whole bunch of, paraphernalia with the Illuminati triangle, but with a pride rainbow theme. Steve Jackson Games did. And RPG Pundit had picked up on some other person on Twitter or whatever on social media trying to say that was like a potential hate crime because the Illuminati is like considered evil, and that therefore putting the gay pride flag colors on it is to associate gay pride with conspiracies and evil, and therefore is bad. And I'm like sitting there watching that whole video going, yeah, if you live in a world without irony, which we're lucky because most gay people don't have that problem, unlike conservative people, which is why, but I let it go because there was no point. It was stupid, other than to make a mental note to myself, order a pyramid, rainbow flag t-shirt, because that's cool. And, and the band plays on. So it is what it is. And then also, because God, it's like too many, it's like too good. It's like, yeah, of course they put the rainbow flag as the gay agenda, and it's, get the joke, assholes. Anyway, it is what it is. What's also interesting is the story, because we've been talking so much about nostalgia loops and what is the origin of nostalgia loops, how they are so ingrained into our society, the ways in which they may be organic, and the ways that they may not have been, they may not be organic. And the story behind The Fantasy Trip by Steve Jackson and its subparts, Melee and Wizard and In the Labyrinth, and how they came to be reissued a couple of years ago, points to many of the ways in which they are inorganic, because it really is a story about copyright law. Mario, he'd say no, that Avatar is legendary. Hey, I'm down with it. Mario, he says, hey, by the way, CW, Rule 5 from Mexican Alien Mummies. I saw, I don't know what was going on. It's so funny that you say that, Mario. I have no idea what that is in reference to, other than when I turned on Twitter, I saw something by Mike West, and that was like people in Mexico with them. So here we go, rolling one bone, and we got a 4. Hey, just shy of the Mexican Alien Mummies. So I don't know if that gets us like, you know what I mean? Like, a Pentecostal weight in Burbank, maybe. I have no idea what that does. Yeah. Oh, and then, yeah. So, and then anyway, so I would go back to the Steve Jackson Illuminati card game. There was a card in it that had planes hitting the Twin Towers. It's just, it's one of those things. But remember, even back then, it was the Illuminati card game. It was based on the Illuminati, based on conspiracies and the strange chance operations of conspiracies coming together. Remember, folks, technically, I had a copy of the Illuminati game, even though I had no idea what the heck it was when I was 10 years old. But I used to put those cards together all the time. I used to not really know how to play, but me and my friends used to know what it was supposed to be. You were supposed to be making all these organizations. We used to do it, but we used to do it like little kids, and we knew what we were doing, but we didn't know what we were doing. We knew we were making up stories and stuff, and the stories were how all these disparate organizations that weren't supposed to have anything in common with each other were organized and in common with each other, but were fighting the other people, and how everything was interconnected. and everything was just a fucking sham and a game. But all these people playing those games prior to anything happening on 9/11, was that a cut up? And the fact of the matter is, art imitates life, life imitates art. Due to all of that controversy, the fact remains the fact. I can't remember if it was the FBI or the CIA, but I do know that the US government raided Steve Jackson games. They did. Took their computers up and everything. Hey, another vision of the shatteredness that is my mind. I was going to throw away this piece of plastic because this is what the counters came in before I punched them out. I punched these out. Okay, I punched out the count. Oh God, punched out these little the chits, and then I had the frames that the chits came in. And this is an indication of what my mental health is like and where I'm coming. I'm at 48 years old. This is the first time in my life that I was able to take the wire frames that the things came in, and I was able to dispose of them. My normal practice with things like that would be, number one, it would be a hard time for me to separate the chits from the thing, because to separate the chits from the thing is to take something that is whole and together and to make it, broken or apart, to take something that is pristine and to render it not pristine, which is a problem. So that was problematic. And then the thing is to take something that is from a set and to take it and put it away. So normally I would take those things. We say hello to the elephant in the room as well. Welcome to the proceedings. And I would save those things. So I finally had to say, I'm throwing these away. These cardboard frames that are just the frames that was around the things, even though it said, the reason I would save them was because it said Steve Jackson Games 2019. I'm like, oh, I should save them because they're the frames from the box and it's just like, that's how my brain works. But that's how I ended up needing like storage, because I keep on moving into bigger places because I have too much crap. So I'm going to go I finally threw those out. I threw those out. And then this is the plastic bag that they came in, but it wasn't a resealable bag. So I cut the top off the bag, and then I said to myself, okay, so I put them in this resealable bag. So I said, okay, I put these in this resealable bag. So now it's time to throw this bag away. And then I turn over and I see it says the Fantasy Trip Melee Counter Set. First edition, first printing, published March 2019. Now I can't throw it away. I could throw it away if it said the Fantasy Trip Melee Counter Set. I'd have a hard time if it said just the edition and just the printing, and if it just said, but it's got the edition, the print, it says the first edition and the first printing, and it says published March, and it's got even the month and the year. And it's not a particularly important year to me. This is the fact that it says first edition and first printing. So now I gotta save this friggin' bag. But at least I can save the bag in the friggin' box. But now check this out. I actually have, thank God, I didn't see that in the beginning, because if I'd seen that in the beginning, I wouldn't have opened up the bag, because I have another copy of this game. That's the copy of this game, and the other part of it, Wizard. Yeah. Thank God I opened it late. Whatever. But that's just an indication of how the brain can work sometimes. So we got this game. So this game was first made in 1977. Yo, check this out. We say hello to Catherine. Catherine, how you doing, kid? My apologies. 1977. All that shit. Yo, folks, check it out. Everything happened between 1977 and 1983. Okay, baby, not that quite. 1963 and 1983. I think 1983 was already, we're probably into repetition, and things are already, I think it's probably like 1963 to 1977, and that's it. 83 at a stretch. But after that, it's all repetition. And I'm not saying that doesn't mean that there's not good repetition. It's not saying that there's not good stuff worthy of listening to and cool stuff happening, but there ain't nothing new. Human beings doing the shit that they ride out we ended up riding out till the I Tolkien study Lou Reed would not would disagree. Bullshit. But the fact that that it started, yo, so check this out. So 1977, the first thing that the origin of Melee is, so Steve Jackson is I think is working at a game company, and he's playing Dungeons and Dragons, but the problem that he has with Dungeons and Dragons is he doesn't like the combat, and he wants a tactical combat game because he's joined an organization that's still around. I'm going to a Renaissance fair soon, another one, and so I'm familiar with this organization. They're called the Society for what is it? Society for Anachronistic something something. They're the Renaissance. They're like the people, the medieval people. And so he got into all like the realistic, like, and Steve Jackson is like an uber dweeb. So like, you know what I mean? Like the concept of this guy sword fighting is about as exciting as like Monty Cook being involved in like a gunfight, right? But the whole point of melee, malai is to be tactical and to really be um, about the fighting. So the first thing about this game is what happened was he first came out with just the combat portion, which was just melee. Okay, yeah, well, this was a nightmare. Why I start moving things? Then the second game. Why is this happening to me? We say hello to Troy Williams. The second game that came out was a game called The Wizard. That was just kind of like the magic rules. Then they published. He started publishing, I think, some solo materials for it. That's interesting to me. Also, to note that solo role playing games, solo RPGs were part of role playing tabletop role playing games from the jump. Tunnels and Trolls had a huge aspect of solo role playing game, solo RPG aspects to them, and solo modules to them, and so did the Fantasy Trip, the larger thing that Melee became a part of. Um, and so did a lot of other things, and so did a lot of there were early D&D materials. To say nothing of the Fighting Fantasy books and the Fighting Fantasy RPG, overseas. My apologies for the constant coughing. My sincere apologies for the constant coughing. Um, so the game originally came out in the 70s when Steve Jackson was with another game company called, I think it was called Micro something. Who cares? They Melee was the first part. It was just the fighting men, the fighting people and monsters, just combat. Then came Wizard, which added. I'm sorry, I'm going to mute this for a second. Hold on, apologize. We'll see if the coughing keeps on persisting. I don't know if this is like if it's the result of me talking. It is. It is. We'll figure it out. Um, and I appreciate the live chat interaction. If I'm not as responsive as usual, I apologize. Um, then was Wizard, which was the magic portion of it. But all this stuff was still basically happening kind of like in an arena, just basically not really kind of any role playing aspect of it. Then there were some solo adventures. Then there was a rule book called In the Labyrinth that I think was turned the whole thing, which was kind of like a GM book, which was turned the whole thing into an RPG. But then Steve Jackson left the company that was publishing it at a time, and then eventually that company went, like many game companies do, went bankrupt, went kaputski. Several years later, I guess in about 2018, 2019, due to copyright laws, after 25 years or so, the copyrights were able to revert back to Steve Jackson, and he did a full court press with his company to reissue all of these classic games in various incarnations and forms. You can find them online. In fact, the game Melee itself, the first component of the Fantasy Trip RPG system, which is like the whole conglomerate system, is available from Steve Jackson, I think from Steve Jackson Games, and also on Drive Through RPG for free. So y'all can get right into it. And I can tell you there's an iOS and an Android app called the Fantasy Trip Helper, I think it's called, that I have, that has like, you know, if basically you can play solo games on it, like limited kind of stripped down solo games on the app itself, and the app is free. So I have been aware of the game, and because of my interest in like reissues and re-stuff, I had gotten this first copy of Melee like a while ago. I think I had gotten it like when it first came out, like in 2019. Third edition, first printing, published March 2019. Yeah, I got it back in the day and hadn't really thought much about it. When my birthday came around, I had been thinking about, I had made this point of not buying new RPG materials, but I had been interested in the stuff and thinking about it. And so I went back and told people, if you're thinking about getting me stuff, I had asked for, there was a box version of Melee and Wizard together, and I'd gotten a copy of the In the Labyrinth, the RPG book, and wanted to take another look at it. And I've been looking at it, pretty consistently, looking over the rules, and the rules are pretty simple. God, the cough may stop me and may bring me down, but at least hopefully let's get into this. And this, what I wanted to do is, because it's modular, what I wanted to do was I wanted to start with just Melee. I'm drinking water. That's it. It's upper respiratory. This is not. This is what's going to kill me. This is, I shouldn't joke. I wanted to do it. God, the thing what happens to me is I started to get angry at the cough. I get frustrated at the body. And I'm getting better, but I used to get to the thing where I'd feel like I'd want to do things like punch myself in the chest, and you know what I mean, like just be like I'd you know I'd you know what I mean, like, and then that turns into a whole thing. What I wanted to do was kind of, because of the modular nature of the system, I wanted to tackle learning the system modularly, starting with the base of Melee and working my way up, so that I would understand and be able to be kind of feel like I'm fully versed. It could be a hairball. I mean, who knows? I have been licking myself. In Melee, the characters, the figures as they're known, only have two statistics, two attributes, strength and dexterity. Strength is, determines what size weapons you can utilize, and it's also your hit points. When you suffer damage, the damage comes off of your strength. Though as you lose strength, you don't have to use smaller weapons. It's not like if you needed a certain amount of strength to use a broadsword and you take X amount of hits in battle, then you can no longer. Catherine says it's probably more bothersome to you than us. No worries. Thank you for that word of solace. It's not as though if you took the number of hits that would reduce your health to the point where you couldn't use the broadsword. Normally, you'd have to drop the broadsword. It's not like that. The other statistic in this game is dexterity, that determines how likely you are to hit an enemy, how fast you can disengage, and how quickly you can move. And the dexterity stat is subject to change dramatically based on your use of armor or a shield. The person can only use 2 weapons. A shield counts as a weapon. And in this game, things like where a character is facing matters. So for this like gargoyle character, the fact that his head region is here determines that I think that this, my understanding is that this, if he's here, I think this is what I mean. This is what I'm doing. This is what I mean by learning by doing. If he's here, facing, if he's here, oh God, it's up. So, oh, you're reversed for me? That's bonerific. Wait, that's bonerific. Hold on, let me do it like that for you guys. Okay. Oh God, this is gonna fuck me up. Sorry for my language. Google. This is his front. This and this is his side, and this is his rear. So every character that's like that's one square, like a normal like size character, like a 1 unit character, I think has 3 fronts, sides, 2 sides, and 1 rear. And I think that matters for purposes of like, who can hit them, whether you're getting, I think, a backstab and stuff. If you've got a shield, but you don't have the shield in your hand and it's on your back, I think I know you get a defense. Every character is assumed to also have a dagger, but like there's rules for like when you change weapons, And so it's simple kind of like in principle, but it's daunting to me because, well, everything's daunting to me. So I've been watching all these Let's Plays, and so every character has options depending on whether they're engaged or not engaged. Every character has a move allowance depending on how much on what their dexterity is and how much how much armor they have on. So if this guy is not engaged, there's no character, there's no one else around him, so he's disengaged. So he has certain options if he's disengaged. He could move up to his full movement allowance, like, if he has a movement allowance of 4, he could do like boo, 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 but he could move anywhere 4 spaces. He could charge attack, which is move up to half of its movement allowance and attack with any weapon except a missile weapon or hand to hand. That's different. He could dodge. He could move up to half of its movement allowance while dodging. That's like selecting the option. You can move half of its movement allowance and then then select the dodge option. And that would be worthwhile if you knew that there was like people with like that if he was like moving somewhere, like to be, I guess, like in proximity of someone, or knew that he was moving somewhere that he'd be in proximity of someone's like missile weapon, or moving in proximity of someone's physical attack, then he moves in there but moves in dodging. That reduces a person's ability to like try and hit him. He could drop. He could move up to half of his movement allowance and drop to a prone or kneeling position. He might want to do that for defensive reasons, like to drop behind, I think, like cover, or also he could drop if he's got like a crossbow. I think dropping to like a position like that, I think helps him sometimes. Or he could ready a new weapon, move up to 2 hexes, re-sling, not drop its ready weapon and or shield, and ready a new weapon and or shield, and or pick up and ready a dropped weapon and or shield from the hex where movement ends, or from an adjacent hex. So there's counters for weapons and stuff, because and shields and stuff, because depending on how you roll, you might drop your weapon. Like there's, critical hits and critical misses, and on certain critical misses, your weapon could break or your weapon could drop. I also know that in regards to certain of the weapons, I think like spears, a person might elect to throw their weapon, and then therefore the thrown weapon might come to rest at a certain position. And then there's nothing stopping a creature or figure or character from coming along and then selecting that option. Like this guy ready to new weapon, if he moved up to 2 hexes and then selected this option and then picks up this spear, suffice that if he has the thing to do it. Gloom Affinity TV. Hi, I want to offer promotion of your channel. Viewers, full of chatbots. The price is lower than any competitor. Quality is guaranteed to be the best. Auto one, incredible, flexible, and convenient. Nah, I'm cool. Hey, Jesus J, what's going on, baby? So you can attack the one that's in front of you and on the sides of you, I think. Well, we'll see. But I think if he attacks the person on the side, there might be a disadvantage. Options for engaged figures. If these 2 people are engaged, if you move into a hex that's adjacent to anybody else's hex, you're engaged. So if these 2 people are engaged, they're getting married. They're getting married? They're getting married. They're engaged. Get it? Listen. It's a generational thing. It's a choice of a racist generation. John Candy was a white man who took an underage boy and put him into the trunk of a car. He then let that young man run away and assaulted him with golf balls, none of which is legal. What happened in the movie? The guy had him coming too, though. Dick. Anyway, did you know that Skinny Puppy sampled the bowling ball falling on John Candy's head and used it in one of their songs from Uncle Buck? They did. They were Canadian. Rest in power, Twain Quaddle. Listen, if you're engaged to get married, you can shift an attack If you're engaged, you can't just leave. You can only shift up to 1 hex, and you could shift and attack. Shift 1 hex or stand still and attack with any non-missile weapon. You could shift and defend. You could shift 1 hex or stand still and defend. One last shot missile attack. If the figure had a missile weapon ready before it was engaged, it may get off one last shot. You can change weapons, shift 1 hex or stand still, and drop a ready weapon, if any, and ready a new non-missile weapon. I don't know why you want to do that. Disengage. See page 19 for an explanation of disengaging. You can attempt hand-to-hand combat. During the movement phase, the figure stands still or shifts. When its turn to attack comes, it moves onto the hex of any adjacent enemy and attempts to hit with bare hands, or if it was ready, its dagger. Apparently that's rare. You can stand up. If you're prone, lying down, or knocked down, you can stand back up. Pick up a dropped weapon. If we were doing the wizard part, we could cast a spell. If we were in hand-to-hand combat, we could attack in hand-to-hand combat. We could attempt to draw a dagger, or we could attempt to disengage, which would require a die roll. Movement. Figures begin the game in any of the 4 entrance hexes, start at opposite ends of the arena. But here's the thing. My entrance hexes are outside of your purview. Anyway, my whole thing is I wanted to see if I could figure out these things. Let's do this. If I try, I'm not going to try and teach you guys here. If you take 5 or more hits, fuck it. Here's what we're going to do. We're gonna make 2 guys, and we're just gonna make them fight. So we're gonna try to figure out if we can. We're doing it live, right? We're gonna be dancing about architecture all day. Otherwise, and we're not gonna start these entry hexes because the entry hexes are off the screen. And we're probably gonna get this wrong. We don't care. It's going to be Easy Andy versus the man who had been pushed too far. We're doing this. The way characters are generated in Melee is it's a point buy system. It's going to be Easy Andy. He's going to have a strength. He has to have a DX. He has to have a movement allowance. And we got to know what his weapons and armors are. That's what I think that's all I think we need to know. We're gonna keep it real simple. We're not gonna worry about allocation. We're just his shield. Just give a shield. Because we need to know the damage of the friggin' thing. The man who wouldn't take it anymore. Strength. DX. Movement allowance. Weapons. Armor. This guy's got. We gotta want to get one of these guys. He's got a. Well, this guy has a pole arm. Like you talking to me? Hold on, wait. Oh, that guy looks like him. Hold on. Let me get caught up in the aesthetics. Hold on, wait. Let me not do that. But I like that thing because this guy has the guy has a spear. But I know that, and then also it'll be easy because that guy has the this guy's a sample guy in the thing, so we can just copy his stats out. So that'll be super easy. Because then we'll be able to go. And I know what those stats are because I've read this bullshit before. Oh my god. Freaking thing is on there. Okay. We just got to figure out this other guy. So this other guy needs. And the only thing with the spears is I think he's got reach or something. We'll figure it out. Hold on. I know this is really compelling. Hold on. Where am I doing? Create a figure. Okay, melee is a game of man-to-man combat. Blah, 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 blah. When a figure is first created, the player sets its strength and dexterity as follows. A human figure starts with 8 strength and 8 dexterity, and 8 extra points to be allotted as the player chooses. Thus, each figure begins with a total of 24 points, 13 to strength, and 11 to dexterity, or any other combination adding to 24. No, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna do the exact same thing for this guy as this guy because it'll just be easier. And let me just get to the weapons part so we'll just know what that is. Right, that'll work. Go on. What's this thing? Or we could have be the mirror of this other guy. I just want to make sure that, or no, let's keep it like this. I just want to make sure he can use this sword. Oh yeah. I don't know why. Okay, so here we go. Okay, I guess the benefit would be him. So okay, so here we go. So we'll do this. So strength will be the same. So it's gonna be. We're just gonna be basically trying to figure out same guy versus same guy. We can do actually. We'll do the. Actually, hold on. Well, no, because he's wearing armor too, so it looks like he's wearing armor too. So, well, actually, no, this guy looks like he's wearing cloth. If this guy could move better, if he's wearing cloth armor, it'll only stop one hit. But he'll suffer less loss to his. He'll only suffer -1 to his dexterity, so his which was his adjusted dexterity will be 12 instead of 11. So he'll have a greater chance of hitting the other guy. That's cool. And then but he's more vulnerable to hit. But he will have his shield out, whereas the other guy won't. If none of this makes sense, it's because I am terrible at explaining things. Where the heck is the shields on this thing? Small shield. Takes 1 hit, attack to front, no dexterity penalty. So if he takes a small shield, he's got a small shield. Small shield. But no dex penalty. So his dex is only going to be 12. His dex penalty is only 12. Whereas the other guy's dex penalty is 11. So they both started off in the same place, dexterity-wise, right? And remember, dexterity controls how many times the likelihood that you're going to hit. If you got a higher dexterity, you're going to hit more often. If you got higher strength, you're going to be able to take more hits. So Easy Andy and the man who couldn't take it anymore both have the same base dexterity to start with, but because the man who couldn't take it anymore is wearing heavier armor, his adjusted dexterity is 11. So he's kind of, encumbered by that. So he's going to have a penalty. He's going to hit Easy Andy less often. Easy Andy is going to suffer the possibility of taking more damage, but he's, offsetting that on the possibility that he's going to get more hits with his short sword in. Okay? And he's still gonna absorb 2 hits on each impact by the cloth armor and the small shield that he's got out. So there's that. I think, if I understand correctly, which is entirely possible that I've already misconstrued things already too much. Okay. So, if I understand that already, and there's no indication that I do, I'm going to put this one guy over here. Here, we'll do this. The man who couldn't take it anymore is in this corner. Yeah. Easy Andy is over here in this corner. Over here. Okay? Now, the first thing we got to do, apparently, is figure out how to get things started. So, we will. Melee is played in turns, representing about 5 seconds each. During each turn, each figure. Okay, whatever. Nothing in melee happens simultaneously. Each movement or attack may affect the next one. Each turn goes through 3 stages. Roll for initiative. Each player rolls a die. The winner may choose either to move their figure first that turn or to have the other player move first. Okay, so we're going to roll one. Let's get different dice for these two douchebags so we can see what's going on. Hold on. The black and white die is going to represent the man who couldn't take it anymore. Hold on. The black and white die is going to represent the man. The black and white die is going to represent the man who couldn't take it anymore because it represents his dualistic nature and the fact that he can't bring his two sides of his personality together. There's a war of himself that sees the world in black and white as dualities. Easy Andy is going to be represented by the smoky red die because he's integrated. He might be like kind of considered a sinful character, dealing in dirty, but he knows who he is and he understands. He's easy with it. Okay, so both these guys we're gonna roll for initiative. Okay, Easy Andy got a 3, and the other guy, the man who couldn't take it anymore, got a 1. So I think Easy Andy won. Each player rolls a die. The winner may choose either to move their figure first that turn or have the other player move first. For whatever reason, I just watching people play online, for whatever reason, I've been told that you want to move first. I don't know why. So Easy Andy's going to move first. His movement allowance is 10? Why is that? Hold on. Because of his armor. Okay, because of his armor, and the other guy can move 8. So this guy can move 10. So movement. Let me go to movement, so I can make sure I'm not moving badly. Movement. Figures begin the game in any of the 4 entrance hexes. Okay, each figure has a movement allowance of a certain number of hexes. Okay. Okay, so I think I can move. Okay, so I can move. So I can move this guy. Here we go. He's moving. He says to the other guy, he's taunting him too. He's like, "You mother, you son of a bitch." 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. He really came up on him. He's like right next to him. That was probably not wise. I don't know why he like that. Because I don't know what I'm doing. And then the other guy goes. Okay, so then the other guy goes, right? Okay. So, okay, roll for initiative. So movement. The first player to move chooses one option for each of his figures, then executes the movement part if any of that. I need to. Okay, so I moved my full thing. I was supposed to tell you what I was going to do first. Like I was supposed to say either I'm going to move up to my full amount. I'm going to charge attack, move up to half of its move, attack, and attack with any weapon except the missile weapon. I could charge attack. So this other guy could charge attack because his movement allowance is 8. So he could do a charge attack by going 4 and then charging this guy. So he's going to do that. He's going to go. The man who couldn't take it anymore is going to go, listen, you screwhead. You bullshitter. You novice. You fucker. You're the reason it's wrong. I'm the true rain that has come to clean these streets with your blood. Charge attack. 1, 2, 3. That's less. So he's up on him. Charge attack. Try to move up to half of its MA and attack with any weapon except a missile weapon. So he's attacking with a spear. He's got a spear. Okay, so now I'm attacking. Attack. An attack is an attempt to hit an enemy. There are several types of attacks. Regular, thrown weapon, missile weapon, or hand-to-hand. In order to attack, except hand-to-hand, a figure must have a ready weapon. A figure has one weapon under shield, ready when it enters the arena. spear. A weapon stays ready after an attack unless it is thrown or dropped, except a crossbow, which takes time to reload. In order to change weapons, a figure chooses option E or M to ready a new weapon. This takes a turn. The new weapon can be used on the next turn. A shield, like a weapon, is ready or not. An unready shield is slung on the figure's back. He's got a shield on his back. Remember, a figure may not attack during a given turn unless it lets it choose one of the options whose title includes the words attack. Figures which change weapons, stand up, move more than half of their MA, disengage, etc., cannot attack per turn. Okay, so rolling for a hit. When an attack is made, the attacker rolls 3 dice to see whether it hits the enemy. To hit, a figure must roll its adjusted DX or less on 3 dice. Adjustments to DX are as follows. We know what his adjusted DX is. We know that his adjusted DX is 11. So on 3 dice, I need to roll less than 11. Come on. Hey, Jesus J, if you ever want to play, come on, you can be one of these guys. You come on my stream, you can be one of these guys. You don't have to solo. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. No. He charge attacked. He said all those fancy things. He was all like, boom, on Easy Andy. And Easy Andy was like, you missed. Douche. Douche. You missed on Easy Andy, you wodge. And I guess that's your turn. So then what do we do next? What happens then? Do we do it again? Oh, it's a Polas. Polas can strike an enemy not an adjacent hex, and they are especially good against a charging foe or when being used in a charge. A charge attack is defined an attack in which the attacker moves from a non-adjacent hex to a hex adjacent to its target. On any turn when a pole weapon is being used in a charge attack or against the charge attack or both, roll all the pole weapon results first in order of adjusted DX before resolving any other attacks. Okay, so if these guys were fighting, we have to do, regardless of, I think, of initiative, we have to do the spear first. Jabbing with the pole arm. Okay. A pole arm can strike at a figure 2 hexes away. This is a jab. There's no DX penalty. A pole arm user has a jab area as shown. Oh, so like this guy, like actually, you know what I could have done is like he could have been like over here. Like one thing that the guy with the spear could do is like he can like get at this guy without this guy being able to get to him. So we gotta know that for the future, but he can't do that now because they're engaged to be married. Okay, so what happens now? Like, so we resolved one battle. What are we going to do? Hold on. Okay, combat phase. All attacks are carried out. No figure may attack. Force retreats. If any figure inflicted hits on an enemy and took no hits itself, and it may retreat that enemy 1 hex. So that guy could have like stabbed that guy back. Counters for thrown or dropped weapons. If both sides still have figures able to fight, begin the next turn. So I think we roll for initiative the beginning of each turn. And that's a draw. Oh, if it's a draw, the guy with the highest adjusted DX, I think, goes first. And that would be Easy Andy. So Easy Andy would go first. The next one. But the other guy has a pole arm, so I think we have to adjust. We have to do his thing. But Easy Andy goes first. But as far as what to do, I think. Okay, the movement. The first player, then player two. So what can this guy do? He can shift an attack. He can shift one hex and attack. He can shift and defend. He can change weapons. He can attempt hand-to-hand combat. I think what I want to do is I think that this guy's best strategy is to shift and attack. And the reason why is I think it's because of this other guy having a spears. I think he's gonna want to like keep moving, like try and get the guy's back, and then or something. I think. So I think if he then shifts the attacks, I just don't. And then okay, so he would shift an attack. Okay, so they execute the movement part. The second player then chooses options and moves all his or figures the same way. And then this guy would choose to shift too. And I think his choosing to shift, he can't move away, but he can shift. I'm just going to move them to face him. And I think he's going to choose to attack too. But then I think we have to do that whole thing with the pole arms. Hold on, wait, what is this thing? Hold on. I just want to make sure I understand that rule. I know this is fascinating stuff. But this is how I learn. Because if I don't actually do it like this, I'll say to myself, "Oh yeah, you know what I mean. I'll practice. You know what I mean. I'll figure it out." You could doing it with the hexes. If you do this game without the hexes, it's kind of like missing the point. The point of this game is kind of the hexes. When because it's all about figuring out. Part of it is figuring out who's facing who, and I think it'll come into play when like things start shooting at each other with crossbows. Pole weapons can strike at an enemy not an adjacent hex. Blah 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 blah. Okay, hold on. Oh my god. On any turn, when a pole weapon is being used in a charge attack or against a charge attack, in a charge attack or against a charge attack, roll all the pole weapon results first in order of adjusted. So it's not being used in a charge attack. So if it's just being used regular, a figure who stands still or simply changes facing and uses a pole weapon against a charge attack. If pole weapon is being used in a charge attack, when one pole arm uses, okay, so I think if we're just doing that normal, I think we just do it normal. Okay, so here we go. Okay, hold on, see something. Roll for initiative, do the movement thing. Okay, combat phase. All attacks are carried out. No figure may attack unless it chooses an option to include the word attack. I think both these guys are choosing to attack. They're both shifting and attacking. Okay. So, figures attack in order of their adjusted dexterity. Oh, so we really didn't need to, roll for initiative because they're both kind of engaged. Well, I guess whatever. Figures attack in order of their adjusted dexterity. So Easy Andy attacks first. Ties are resolved each turn by a die roll. When figures are firing 2 arrows per turn, they fire their second arrow, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so I guess Easy Andy is going to attack first. and rolls for a hit, he has to remember on 3 dice, he has to hit less than a 13 to hit the man who wouldn't take it anymore. 5, 9, 10. He hits. He hits. When an attacker rolls his DX or less on 3 dice, it hits the enemy. How much damage it does is determined by another dice roll. How many dice are rolled depends on the attacker's weapon. The guy has a short sword. So the short sword does 2d minus 1. So that's 2 dice minus 1. Shit, that's a lot of damage. That's 11, that's 10. It says short sword, 2d minus 1. That's a lot. I mean, this other guy's got armor, but that's still 11. That's crazy. Okay. So, for instance, the broadsword gets 2. Okay. Okay. So that's, okay. I feel bad. So, that's 11. So, this guy has, the man who couldn't take it anymore has leather armor that stops 2. So that's 9. He had strength of 11. So now he's down to 3. That's a big hit. That's crazy. And I also know that when you take like a hit that big, it fucks you up. Like I'm not talking about like, yo man, we take a hit that big, it fucks you up. Like in real life, like you take a hit that big, and you get hit with a short sword that does that much, you're dead. But in this game, it does something to you. I know that much. You talking to me? Not anymore, because I think you're gonna die. Hold on. This is no joke. Yo. Where is it? Come on now. Let's look at this whole section. Hold on. Come on. Reactions to injuries. A figure which takes 5 or more hits in one turn has its DX adjusted. Yo. It's like I took the hit. Has its DX minus adjusted -2 for the next turn, the next attack only. So when our guy tries to respond now, he's -2. So his DX is normally 11. It's going to be 9. So when he wants to hit back, because he selected hit, but he selected hit attack as well, we got to roll 9 or less on 3 dice. Nope. He misses. Didn't see that one coming. A figure which takes 8 or more hits, that's him, in one turn immediately falls down. Place a prone marker on. I didn't even do that. Here we go. We have Dwayne Ohms in our live chat. In the Labyrinth brings back so many memories. It's the hexes encounters that got me hooked. Hey man, listen, I'm going to tell you right now, I am beyond planet noob. Consider me a noob, like that's learning how to play in the mental hospital, okay? To learn how to read. Do not make fun of me. Well, or or do so knowing that you're making fun of the mentally impoverished. I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm glad that we're bringing back memories for you. If it is not already attacked, it may not attack that turn. It wouldn't matter, but we should have read that. In the next turn, it may use option G to stand or crawl. If it is in hand-to-hand combat, it may do nothing next turn. So our dude is down. Our dude is down. So I think we're supposed to roll for initiative again at the top. I don't really know why, or if we're just, when we're engaged, if we've got just two guys, if it just makes sense to just say that they're engaged, and we're just going to go by adjusted DX and say that this guy is going to go first. But with this guy going first already, with this guy already down, he's going to automatically choose attack. And I think he's even going to go shift an attack. I think he's going to shift around him and attack, because why not? Strategically, just stay on your feet and keep on moving. Back in the day. There you go. Hey, man, I appreciate it. You can hex if you want to. We can leave your hexes behind. With this stuff, with the fantasy trip is pretty much like, it's like can you be straight edge and not put Sharpie X on your hand? You can, but you know what I mean? It's kind of like, that's how you know you're fantasy tripping, is if you're down on the X, down on the hex. But I think he's just gonna attack, and I think he's attacking first. I think the other dude's gonna choose to try and get up, right? Or he's gonna try and crawl back to the entryway. No, he's gonna try and just get up. But I think the other guy's gonna go first. I think that's how we're gonna. I think that's just how we're gonna resolve it. And he's gonna Andy's gonna roll. He's got to roll a 12 or less on 3 dice. No, 9. Wait, 9, 10, 11, on the money. 9, 10, 11, 12. On the money. Roll for damage. I think I'm doing it correctly. 2D minus 1 on that short sword. Yo, 5, 6, 7, 8. Our boy, the man who wouldn't take it anymore, is dead. And Easy Andy, what do you want? You got anything you need, anything you want, anything you need, I got it. Anything you want, anything you need, anything you want, I got it. What's the experience points he gets? Because if he gets enough experience points, continue until all on one side are slightly. Well, figures. Hold on. 2 seconds, guys. Give me 2 seconds. Celebrate my victory by blowing my nose. Okay, so I hear Troy Williams is being like, so I hear, and Troy Williams says, here's Jesus J saying, I hear you, Troy. I'm a novice too, so not too clear to me at the moment. Guys, there are plenty of people online on YouTube that took the time and effort and energy to think about, how can I explain these rules that I know and understand competently to other people on the internet so that they too can get a grasp and enjoy this hobby, right? What you guys are experiencing is basically, remember like when your dad or your uncle would be trying to fix something that was like beyond their technical capability of fixing, and you just kind of walk by every once in a while to hear them exclaim things like, I just don't know what the hell this is. And what do they mean? PC load letter. And insert tab A into slot B. Where's slot B? It's a clear piece of plastic. Where's slot B? Like, that's why it doesn't make sense to you. It's not that it's not a comprehensible system and that's not a good game. It's just that you're listening to a moron try and learn how to play it. There's your problem. But I feel like I got a better idea of this. The system was a lot more daunting to me before I actually, it's 18 pages of rules, 24 pages, 18 basically pages of rules, and then some extra stuff about experience and a little bit of like an example of play at the end. Okay. Oh, the hexes. So the reason that Steve Jackson says that he kept the hexes for the reissue was because they were so, it's a lot of it has to do with this whole notion of the rules of things facing each other, how things are facing each other, and movement. And it's also because that was something that just basically ended up setting the system kind of apart from different systems. It's kind of idiosyncratic. I think you can do it without the hexes, absolutely. Though you might have to do some adjustments to figure out, what's facing what. I don't know. I don't think there's anything about it that would make it impossible to do without the hexes. But then again, I'm not the expert that you would want to consult for that sort of, look at the problems that I'm having playing the game straight out of the box. Hackmaster Julius, I am not. But what I am feeling like I am is a little bit better at playing melee. And I feel as though if I play a couple of more times, that I'll get better. This was my first time playing. So I swear to God, this is me with all games. I read the rules and I feel like I got it. I get it. I understand. But it's not until you get the counters on the map. It's not until you start rolling the dice. It's not until you start looking at things that you say to yourself, wait, hold on. When do they do this? When do they roll that? That you start saying to yourself, oh, that makes sense. And you allow for the fact that you might do it one way and then you might see and you go, oh, you're supposed to roll for initiative each time. And then you will also allow for the fact that, oh, if I don't do that each and every time, it doesn't matter. And as we move on, we'll get into the other things like, the rules, the movement rules for the things that take up more hexes. And when we get into the wizard supplement, we'll see that there's bigger monsters like the dragons that have, multiple different hexes and stuff. And the way that this game is played is really they anticipate you using, more than just one character versus one character. But I'm not there yet. I'll probably want to do a couple of more this guy versus this guy scenario, javelin guy versus crossbow guy, two dudes versus a bear. And we'll work our way up. And then eventually we'll crack the wax on wizard. We'll start adding the spellcraft in there. And then we'll get in there with the extra rules with the fantasy trip. And then I've got some solo materials for the fantasy trip that we should be able to do together too. If we end up doing it here, or we might end up just wandering off and doing some other things. And you'll just see that melee and fantasy trip and all that other stuff is some more stuff that we can explore, or you can explore alongside of me. on the old nostalgia loops that are our ongoing adventures together. I love you, I love you, I love you. If nobody told you they loved you today, somebody just did that. Somebody is CW Chanter. Make of that what you will. My apologies for all the coughing. King Cobra JFS. Right before I came on and did this live stream, I saw a live stream of his. Unfortunately, it was taken immediately off air by him. Because why? Because someone tricked him into shouting out more sickos. Oh, King Cobra JFS. If someone asks you to shout somebody out that you don't know, don't shout them out. A card for today's stream. The Emperor. Not reversed. Just appeared that way because of the laws of thermodynamics and mirrors. The Emperor. We saw two men enter the arena. One man left. Which one is the Emperor? They both are. Stand by your principles. There's an Emperor within all of us. And around all of us, there are emperors to learn from and to emulate. Honor the dead, for we will all end up there in time. What is defeat? What is victory in the arena of life? Some say it's all just a game. Tim Frey, seems like the Choose Your Own Adventure book craze could have been revived with the internet, but guess not. Well, depends on how you look at it, Tim. Depends on how you look at it. Contemplate that. We'll chew that, and we'll come back on the next one. I love you. I love you. I love you. Think about taking a look at the Patreon. There's plenty to see of me, but why not see it all?